Hi, I'm Eric Lauer with Matrix Technologies. This video is about defense in depth, what it is, and how to apply defense in depth strategies to harden your industrial control system and manufacturing processes and operations, with an emphasis on digital and cybersecurity.
You can find more information about this topic in the video's description, where we have a link to a PDF copy of this presentation, content from industry leaders such as the U.S. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, as well as links to information about other services and solutions that Matrix offers. Defense in depth is a concept in which a desired level of security is achieved through layering of defense mechanisms. The overall security of a site or facility grows by overlapping these mechanisms. It provides a way to protect your operational success by reducing the possibility of losses from a variety of threats, from ransomware attacks, power outage-induced downtime, and a number of things in between. If your facility were a fortress, defense in depth would evaluate the vulnerabilities of each wall and work to fortify the defenses with countermeasures in order to increase your overall security. Security is a broad topic. It's important to consider it in every aspect of your business: your physical facility, supply chain, data collection, process control, among many other aspects. This video will talk specifically about defense in depth with respect to your control system and manufacturing operational technology. To help aid in this discussion, here is a brief summary of terms that are commonly used when talking about defense in depth. Threat agents, a term from that previous slide, come in many forms. It's important to remember that intent or proximity aren't factors in determining what is or is not a threat agent. All that is required is the ability to turn a vulnerability into an exposure. While most people tend to think of these threat agents as malicious hackers trying to exploit our systems, the fact is that a disgruntled employee, an accident, or something as mundane as a thunderstorm can pose just as much or even more of a risk. How do we begin adopting a defense in depth strategy? The first step is to increase your awareness or visibility of your vulnerabilities and the threats those vulnerabilities may pose to your business. There's a variety of approaches to accomplish this. One approach is to think of your overall system security as a set of concentric layers. These layers aren't independent, they interact with each other. By evaluating the vulnerabilities, threat actors, and threats at each layer, we can begin to understand what our risk exposure is. Now that you've listed out vulnerabilities and potential threats, it's time to determine their risks so that we can prioritize them and take action. There are again a variety of approaches here. We're going to use a risk assessment scorecard. We have a dedicated article on scorecard-based risk assessment. It's written by Carl Bowman. We'll link to it in the video description. You can see that we've broken up risk into financial impact and probability. These are not the same for every facility. Each site requires its own evaluation. Let's take some of the vulnerabilities we encountered earlier and place threats that exploit them on this scorecard. Let's say there's a distributed botnet on the internet. It crawls for vulnerabilities and it discovers an industrial control system that has unprotected internet access. The botnet begins sending massive amounts of requests to PLCs on the ICS, whose network buffers become so full they can't properly operate. Perhaps there's a fire, and an employee reports to the wrong muster station. We lack records of who entered and exited the building or different areas, and don't have information that could suggest the employee was in another part of the facility and thus went to a different muster station. The fire department thinks they need to spend more time searching the facility to find a potentially unaccounted for person. This adds more downtime and it potentially puts people's health and safety at risk. Maybe it's severe weather season and you get frequent power outages. Sometimes the power outage's sudden shutdown of servers causes data corruption, and now your SCADA systems don't work properly. And that requires restoring configurations and data from a backup. In the meantime, you're not making product. Technical, statistical, and financial analysis are often required to confirm prioritization, but the scorecard method is a quick and easy way to prepare for that conversation with your technical and financial teams. Upon having that conversation, you might find that some vulnerabilities can be knocked out real easily with countermeasures, and that some safeguard options may be more cost effective than others, or that the financial impact from a vulnerability is so high that you cannot ignore the risk that vulnerability presents. Here are some example countermeasures that tackle the vulnerabilities we listed previously. Many risk mitigation efforts are reactive. They come after an exposure has already occurred. Maybe you've been hit by ransomware, you suffer downtime due to that or some other reason, and you want to take action. As an example, a few years ago, Level 3 communications used to have issues with squirrels chewing up their fiber optic cable and causing outages. Their response and countermeasure was a reaction to that exposure. By increasing overall visibility as previously described, it's possible to proactively approach risk mitigation before an exposure and losses occur. Even small changes to your day-to-day operations can have a significant impact on mitigating risks when taken proactively. The U.S. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency provides information about common weaknesses in IT and OT systems. We have included some material from the agency here, as well as a link to this information, which will be in the video description. Vulnerabilities may exist at all levels of your facility and systems. Threats that take advantage of these vulnerabilities may be malicious, accidental, or happenstance. They can come from outside your organization or from within. Use defense in depth to critically evaluate your vulnerabilities, weigh their relative risk, and then fortify your defenses to improve your overall security. Matrix Technologies is here to help. We have decades of experience with information technology and operational technology systems. We can assist in improving the protection of your operations and intellectual property by helping to audit your site to locate vulnerabilities, working with you to help evaluate the risks, developing the financial costs associated with shoring up your defenses, and help implement those improvements. It's part of our better process for success. Thank you for watching this video. Please see the description for information on how to reach out to us if you have any questions or comments. We'll arrange to quickly get a subject matter expert in touch with you.